Hi, everybody. Welcome back. This is Lynn. This is Lynn Does Investing. And today I bring you another guest from my school community. If you haven't joined yet, please join school. If you have any questions about that, I can send you a link and you guys can sign up. It's $20 a month and I'm not affiliated whatsoever, but it's been beneficial to me and I hope it's going to be beneficial to you. Today I have Mitch to. Hi, Mitch. How are you doing?
Doing great. How about yourself?
Good, I'm doing fine. I'm so glad that you came on the channel. I think I'm the first one to interview you if I'm not mistaken.
That would be correct. Yeah, I'm not on I follow a lot, I watch a lot of YouTube, but I'm, not around as much as I should be. Trying to
Yes,
make waves.
I get to say that. So, because we obviously do belong to a community and we have friends there. And then now I can say to the firefighter and old guy REI that I got to interview you first. So,
That's right.
so Mitch is a fellow investor in my market. But let me ask him, like, Mitch, tell me about yourself before investing in real estate.
Before investing it, so I live in Altoona, Iowa, which is a suburb of Des Moines. We're just east of Des Moines. 40 years old. My primary interest and role, so I'm an IT. I'm a systems engineer, computer systems engineer. Basically, what I do is deploy the images and software for computers that go out to the state DOT. And I've always been big into technology. That's, kind of what I do. Outside of doing IT work for the state, I mean, my passions are home automation technologies, home theater, audio, video, stuff like that. So that's kind of who I am before investing, so to speak. I only really recently came across that, maybe 3 years ago, I want to say. So it just kind of popped up on my feed in YouTube. Really, that started with the accelerated banking strategy, is what that started with. And then that led me down to the path of real estate investing. And I just, found one channel after another, and it just kind of led me here ultimately.
So prior to finding YouTube and all of these people, did you have a plan for retirement? Were you thinking about retirement at the time, or were you just like working, you know, that W?
So, yeah, since I work for the state, the retirement package is pretty good. So I wasn't thinking hugely about retirement. I mean, I had the state pension system and I have a Roth IRA. That's about the only thing that I've got for retirement. But it looked like I was going to be able to retire at like 53, doing decent. But really what started me down this path is, I kind of got a little stuck in my career. It's you can't really move up in the state unless people retire or leave. And I hit a pay cap effectively until I can get that next promotion to the next level up. And I'm like, well, things are getting a little more expensive and I can't really do what I want anymore, so I need to figure out another way to move the needle forward, because this just isn't cutting it. And I'm getting older, and time's moving faster as you get older, as you might know. So I need to figure something out. So that's kind of where real estate investing is trying to come into play.
Awesome.
I don't feel as fast at it as a lot of other people are. I'm taking it pretty slow.
Yeah, no, it seems like what you're saying is that inflation was creeping up on you, and the job
Yeah.
raise, like the cap that you had, was like one of the incentives for you to look elsewhere. But why real estate? Why not a business? Why not some other mode of investing?
Well, you've all heard the thing of most millionaires. What do they have in common? It's real estate. So I'm like, well, that sounds good for me to try. So I've never really thought about it before, but I've always been into housing and things like that. Like I like to integrate home audio, video, and automation platforms into housing. I have gone to they have these show homes in areas that you can kind of see what a builder's work does, and I've always been kind of fascinated by a lot of the fancy details of these newer homes that I can't afford to buy. And I'm like, oh, I like that idea. Let me put that in my next house that I want to do. So that's really where that kind of came from, I guess.
Okay, so you learn about investing, you learn real estate investing is a vehicle to creating wealth. What is
Yeah.
your first step that you took?
My first my first step is figuring out, okay, what do I need to do here? So, the first step is kind of like learning how to run numbers, really, on practicing running numbers on deals, and then trying to find properties, things of that nature. Finding a market's probably number one, the first step. That was difficult. Since I live in Des Moines. I was originally looking here in Des Moines, but I'm like, well, things are a little expensive for me. Putting down 20 to 25% on properties here is, between 60 and $75,000. And I'm like, well, that's a good chunk of my savings. I don't know if I want to do that for maybe a 6% return on investment. So I'm like, well, so I kind of rode the coattails of Millennial Mike a little bit. I reached out to him on Instagram, and I'm like, well, can you teach me a little bit about investing out of state in Indiana there? And so he basically gave me all his people that he works with, and I just slowly started reaching out to them. And I want to say, what was it, last year in March? Angelo, which is the realtor out there in Gary, they had a meetup, a dinner meetup, and so I went out to that. I just drove out there, and did the dinner and met everybody, and I thought, okay, this isn't that bad. So I had a good time. So that's kind of where I got my start in Gary from. And obviously, as you know, homes out there are noticeably cheaper. So putting 20% down on a house that's around $70,000 is a lot more attainable and doesn't bite into your savings quite as much. So I thought, let's start there. Plus, the returns are a little bit higher. Granted, I know it's a much riskier area to invest in, but I've got trusted boots on the ground. Other people are doing it, so I'm like, well, if other people can do it, I can surely do it. So that's kind of where I got my start out there.
Awesome. And you and I have like the similar story because I also, jumped off the cocktails of Mike and Muskie. But so you went to the dinner meeting last year,
Hmm. Yep,
and
that was fun.
did you purchase a house last year then, or was it before that?
Yeah, it was last year. So I closed on it in May of last year. And then didn't get a tenant in place until October. There was a few things that needed to be done to it, but not a whole lot. It just took a little while to find my first tenant because, as you know, a lot of the tenants don't meet the requirements. And I was getting a little bit worried. I'm like, so how long does this usually take to place a tenant? Because, here I am, forking out money for the mortgage, and I'm not seeing anything from it. So I asked, Mike and a few other people, and I'm like, yeah, right now it kind of depends. It can take a little while to find tenants, so I had to calm down a little bit about that. And it was okay. But once the tenants moved in, well, I guess that's an interesting story. So the tenants moved in October, and there was, a couple of gas leaks right away that didn't get caught. So the property manager, Vicky, she put them up in a hotel for the weekend, and that was nice of her to do. And then we got the gas leak fixed, $250 later, roughly. We were good, and they moved back in, and everything's been great since then. So it's been good.
Awesome, awesome. So you have the one property in Gary.
Yep.
And so what was your goal there? Like I know you were looking at your market in Des Moines and then you said 6% return on investment was not enough return for you. So when you go into Gary, like a lot of people have a misconception or a stereotypical view of looking at Gary. of like a the depleted city, decaying city of not a lot of I think not a lot of promise there. But then we do have trusted boots on the ground and we do know people that are there doing successfully. So what was your goal with that first house in terms of like numbers?
I was hoping to hit around 12 to 14% return is what I was hoping for. And I did hit that. So at least double digit returns where, I wasn't getting anywhere near that in Des Moines. There are certainly ways you can do that in Des Moines. I just didn't find that out until a little bit later. But it plus, it's a lot easier to put 20% down on cheaper house than it is in Des Moines. I didn't want to put my entire savings or close to it on that and go from there. So I thought, well, we'll start small and see where that goes. So that was my dipping my toe into the water is what that was. Let's just take a portion of my savings and start small and see how it goes. And
Hmm.
then we'll try to move on from there.
Yeah. So you bought then a $70,000 house
Yep.
last year,
Yep.
single family home,
Yep. It's a 2-1.
2-1. And were you able to rent it for how much?
1,200 a month.
Oh, okay, great. Awesome.
Yep.
So yeah, so
Yeah.
12 to 14% return. You dip your toe into real estate. You got your first tenant in October. There was some hiccups with the gas. Were you after the gas hiccup, were you freaking out? Were you like, oh my God, this is why people don't want to invest in real estate?
Not really, just because I've heard all the stories and just kind of stick with it type of thing. I'm like, well, it's a typical problem with the house, it's not a big deal. Just get it fixed and move forward. Really, my freak out level would be, something unexpected that was a lot more expensive than one would think. But that kind of stuff you would find during the inspection period anyway, typically anyway. In the case of, you had an example one time where the house caught fire, and that's a whole different thing. But yeah, so I didn't freak out that much because, I've lived in the house that I live in now. I've been here for 18 years. This is my first house that I bought out of college, which I just recently got paid off. So yay for no debt.
Oh,
Um, yeah. So, I'm not immune to the typical things that happen in a house that need to be replaced and things of that nature. Like I've had to replace the HVAC in this house. I've put new flooring and cutting carpet in here, painted and all the typical home maintenance stuff. So that doesn't scare me that much.
okay. So October comes in, you're getting your steady rent check every month. What is next for you after that?
Well, what's next is figuring out, okay, how can I get my next deal? That's that's what's next, and that's also nerve-wracking because it takes a while to find something that's decent. But I also wanted to try to dip my toes and try to get into the Des Moines market. So that's also what I've been working towards. So I met a few investors here in Des Moines that have been trying to help me out there. Obviously, it's a lot more it's more expensive here and whatnot. So been trying to learn the market here and dabble in that. Actually, I just found a property here in Des Moines on the south side that I'm under contract on right now. It's a duplex on the south side of Des Moines. I the purchase price is 250,000 is what we got them down to a little bit. And that should well, total income should be about 2,300 a month. So not quite as good of a return out there in Gary, but it's going to teach me a lot because I'm going to self-manage this one. And it's
Oh,
got inherited tenants, and I've
awesome.
met both of them. They were both pretty nice. So,
Hmm. So you said you could drive to Gary from Des Moines.
yeah,
Okay.
it's about a 6, 7 hour drive roughly.
Okay. Did you go and drive that first house you purchased? Like, did you go in person?
So at the time, so when that dinner meetup was, I believe it was in March, and I had not purchased a property yet. So that happened in April, and the way that happened was through, I don't know if you're familiar with Senya, who also invests out there. But I was talking to her on Instagram, and she had mentioned another investor out there that was selling some of her properties at the time. So I sent her an email and said, "Hey, what do you have for sale?" And she says, "I've got, this, this, and this that's for sale, and in the next few months, a few others that are coming up for sale." So I took a look at a couple of them, and there was one of them that stuck out to me that looked pretty good. I offered her a little bit less than what she was asking for on it, and she accepted. And that's kind of how that one happened. It wasn't an on market deal per se.
Oh, so it was somebody you knew through another investor.
Right. Yep.
Oh, okay. That's cool. So but you went through the whole finding a lender, putting 20% down, and
Correct. Yeah, I used Jerry from Prime Lending is who I used. So I have all, like I said, I used Mike's team basically, and that's how I did that.
cool, cool. Do you, since you've been investing there in since last year, do you see yourself continue to invest in Gary?
Yeah, I think so. As soon as I get this property here in Des Moines and everything, I just get it stabilized and kind of figure out how all that works, as long as, self-managing and all that kind of stuff. Get comfortable with that. Definitely, I'm gonna, save up a little more money and, probably get another one out in Gary. So
Okay,
I'm just kind of
yeah,
trying to play the one at a time here deal and not move too fast because, I've heard the stories of people who move a little too fast and regret that. So I'm like, well, let's not do that.
I know. How did you find one rental at a time?
Basically YouTube is how. So you find one channel and it leads you to another and it leads you to another. And I watch a lot of YouTube. In fact, I probably watch too much. I have to have ad blockers on there just because the ads are super annoying. But I watch everybody's content at about 2x speed because I have a lot to get through. So while I'm working during the day, I have YouTube on another display, and I've all the videos that pop up on this, the subscribe section. I want to watch this one. I'll open it in a new tab and I'll just go down the list and hit play and watch it at double speed and try to get through as much content as I can. I sometimes I have to prioritize certain content over others, and if I have a vacation day and I don't get to watch stuff, I get behind, and I have to figure out how to manage my media because between listening to podcasts on my phone and watching YouTube, it's like, okay, well, I feel like that's all I'm doing, and I'm not really taking any action, doing anything because I'm just consuming media. But it's not just real estate media that I'm consuming on YouTube as well. It's my other interests as well, such as home theater, audio, video, technology, home automation, that stuff. So
Mhm.
trying to figure out how to balance that.
Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah.
It's kind of interesting because you also are investing like out of state, and then now you're also going back to your own backyard after learning a little
Right.
more about what the real estate market is or what the possibilities are. So this deal that you found in Des Moines, how did you find it?
That basically was an MLS search set up from my real estate agent slash investor person that I've been working with is how I found that. So that came up. I texted her and I'm like, hey, this looks like a pretty decent deal. Let's check it out. And so we went over there and looked at it. Everything looked pretty good. It was during the Iowa State Fair, so I thought, okay, maybe there's a good chance of not very many people taking a look at the market, because that's the other problem with duplexes in the Des Moines area. They're not on the market very much. So you're lucky to see any on the MLS. If they are, nobody wants those. Anything that's decent that anybody would want, they go right away. Like they're not on the market very long. If they are to begin with, because everybody owns them already. So I thought, well, let's see here. Their price was originally a little bit high, so we were gonna. She kind of advised me, well, let's just wait a week and see if they lower the price a little bit because it had just been listed. So I thought, well, let's not do a disrespectful offer on a property that's just been listed. That doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. So we waited a week. I heard from her that they indeed were going to drop it $10,000. So I'm like, okay, that seems pretty good. They were going to drop it from 265 to 255. So luckily nobody else really took a look at it. Again, because during the Iowa State Fair, one of the nation's biggest fairs, everybody's at the fair doing that. So, and so I'm doing real estate on the side.
Hmm.
So I offered them 250 and they took it. So, yeah.
Cool. And then you already passed the inspection period?
Yes, just past that yesterday, actually.
Okay, awesome. Anything you found that you like to counter on in terms of
So they did what's called a educational inspection, where apparently you can't really ask them to fix anything. So yeah, that was new to me. But I'm like, okay, well, we'll see, I guess. If there's anything major that comes out, I can always back out of that. So really, the only thing that came back was one of the units, the AC wasn't cooling properly, basically, so it was running all the time. But the tenants had put in a request for that a few months, maybe a month or two ago, and they just got around to fixing that. So luckily, I heard yesterday that that was taken care of for me. So that was one of the big things that was kind of like, well, that's maybe a possible major expense to fix that, but they ended up taking care of that for me. The
Mhm.
other thing that was kind of annoying was the agent and the buyer, we had agreed to this deal only if both tenants would be month to month. And apparently, the property management company that the owners, the people who are selling the property management company didn't bother to tell them that they signed one of the people on the left side. They signed them up for a year, renewed their lease for a year. Like,
Mhm.
so that kind of made a few people upset that didn't bother to tell anybody that. So I have
Mhm.
one side that's stuck at 1,000 a month until July, and the other side is month to month, which I need to figure out how to raise to 1,300 a month, because I at 1,000 a month at both sides, it's, yeah, it's still cash flows positive, but it's maybe a 2 or 3% return. It's not great. But I know that I can get the rents up to 1,300. So, but and at 1,300 aside, it's pretty decent. But the one side's stuck at 1,000 until July. But as you know, I'm probably not going to make my first mortgage payment until October. So being able to collect rent for the first month or two is will be helpful for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it'll be my first entry point into the Boyne market. So it's not like a perfect deal, but it's pretty good overall. And
Yeah,
it's
it
got
is.
room to grow, and I can turn it into a midterm or short term, and make that even better, which is what Kelsey does. Kelsey Porter is the agent here in Des Moines. She's also a member of the Wire community, the Women Invest in Real Estate. That was started here in Des Moines, basically.
Oh,
Um,
awesome.
yeah. So I've been working with her, and she does a lot of midterm, short-term stuff. So I thought, well, let's just see if she can help me out. I'll just do the same thing.
Right, right. I also gonna try the binding method by Dion, in which
Hmm.
I think what he says is when you inherit tenants, wait 2, 3 months before even having the talk of increasing the rent. Have them, ask you like, what do you want to repair in this unit? Repair for them, and then basically vet them to see if they're good tenants for like 3 months, and then have the conversation of upgrading the rent.
Yep, and that's exactly what I was going to do. I was just going to keep them, a month to month, and just kind of see how things go. I mean, I've already met them a couple of times, and they seem pretty nice. Kelsey, my realtor and investor friend, also agrees that they're pretty nice compared to what she's seen as well. So no reason to kick them out per se, if they're doing everything well. But yeah, I need to figure out how to take them from close to 1,100 to 1,300, and I don't want to do that all in one go
Right.
right away. So we're gonna figure that out slowly.
Yeah, makes sense. Wow, so Des Moines, here we go.
Yeah. So it'll be a total of 3 units, 2 properties, slowly getting my start. My end goal really is to build a custom home, and have it all wired with technology and have a pretty decent home theater in there because I love movies and I love music, and I like the impact that that gives me. So that's my goal. That's what I like. That's what I want. But I have expensive hobbies, and I can't afford the payment on a house that I want right now.
So, okay. Then, so your goal is in the next 5 years to acquire a couple more houses, or are you like going to stop at four, like Michael Suber says?
No, I'm not going to stop at 4. I'm going to keep going until the income from these properties is enough to do what I want to do. Like I don't need a lot. I just if I could at least start with having the income from rental properties cover my expenses, that would be a good start. And I keep my expenses pretty low. Like, I only here in Des Moines, I only live off of maybe $2,800 a month, with internet, just all that other stuff, just basic stuff that it costs you to live, insurance, this and that. It only costs me about $2,800 a month to live, and I'm able to save pretty much 50% of that.
Hmm.
So that's kind of how I'm doing that. But yeah, like I said, if I had rental properties cover that expense, then I can use my entire W-2 income to continue to save for the next property. But really, where I want to build from that is not only have that cover my expenses now, but let's add on maybe a $3,000 to $4,000 mortgage for the house that I want to build, and then have the rental income cover that, so that my income that I get from my W-2 can be for whatever I want.
Hmm.
So, and that's really where I'm going with that. If it can meet or exceed or double or quadruple what I'm making, that's great. But we'll just worry about that and get there when it's time.
Yeah. So
So right now I'm just focused on the small.
you don't have that rush to run away from your W-2 until it's time for retirement.
No, my W-2 is maybe a little too comfortable. I mean, I work for the state, so I get it's not too stressful. It's okay money, but I get a little bit of flexibility and whatnot. So it maybe that makes it a little too comfortable, and I need to get out of my comfort zone a little bit. But it's nice, and I enjoy what I do for the most part. So.
Yeah, it's all about working and balancing what you want, right? Like I think I'm not also in the same shoes of like I'm trying to run away from my W-2 right now. And I don't think I'll ever stop working altogether. I think I'll eventually just move on, transition all to part-time, but not like stop working because I do get some enjoyment and some purpose from my job as well. But it would be like on my terms more so than working for some.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, wow, thank you so much for coming on my channel and talking about Gary and our scary, scary market. But
It's not that bad. I went to visit it. It's not that bad.
I agree with you.
So,
But I actually am gonna be there the following week, not this week, but the following week.
although I will say, if you're gonna drive to Gary, don't take a nice looking car. Like I have a 2016 Lexus hybrid SUV. Sounds fancy, but I bought it used. It's 100% paid off, and it's got 300,000 miles on it, but you'd never know that looking at it. So, but
You're
having that
taking that
vehicle
a
in
little bit.
Gary, you get some looks. So I had to, as I was looking at some of these homes with people last year, I had to kind of look over my vehicle and make sure that's going to be okay, because you see some people walk by and give you some looks, because that's not a common vehicle around there.
Yeah,
They think you're
another
rich or
thing,
something.
right? Another thing that was like, there's not a lot of public bathrooms. So if you're going to go to Gary
Right.
and you don't have anything, you make sure you pee somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were touring the properties on a Sunday, and it was relatively quiet, actually,
Mhm.
until maybe later afternoon, and then, people start crawling out of the woodworks. But I thought, well, this is almost like, a town that's half dead. There's not much going on. Nobody's around, but as the afternoon starts getting on, people start coming out a little bit. But it's a very interesting city to go look at and tour for sure. If you've never been, it's like, wow, you look around and you're like, this is something,
Hmm.
but not as scary as people say it is.
Hmm. I agree. Well, thank you so much for coming to my channel, and I'll hope to see you back and next year
Yeah, thank
or
you.
this year later to see what else have you gone up in Des Moines and what kind of stories you have from your tenants.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.